Good evening, and welcome to Greencastle, and welcome to DePauw University, and welcome to the last Ubben Lecture of the 2014-15 academic year. The Ubben Lectures were made possible by a remarkable gift of Tim and Sharon Ubben, DePauw classmates in 1958. So I just want to thank and acknowledge them through their remarkable gift. This year we welcomed Piper Kerman, New York Times bestselling author of Orange is the New Black, Dan Quayle, the 44th Vice President of the United States, television's own Jimmy Kimmel, and New York Times columnist David Brooks. Tonight we welcome a person of additional accomplishment in different venues than these two, a person who succeeded on the field in the classroom. And tonight we're not going to have a typical Ubben Lecture speech, but we're going to have a conversation. And the conversation will be moderated by our own coach, Bill Lynch, who came back to DePauw University in 2012. He was the head coach at IU, Ball State, and Butler. He's a Butler graduate, and he's been at DePauw for a couple years, and he's become a just wonderful member of this community and a person that we all look up to. So please join me in welcoming Coach Bill Lynch.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to introduce Andrew Luck. Andrew was born in Washington, D.C. on September 12, 1989, the son of Oliver and Kathy Luck. He is the oldest of 4 children. He spent his early childhood in London, England, and Frankfurt, Germany. He attended both Frankfurt International School and the American School in London. Following their time in Europe, the Lucks landed in Houston, Texas. Andrew attended Stratford High, where he threw for over 7,000 yards and 53 touchdowns in his high school career. He rushed for another 2,000 yards, and he was co-valedictorian of his graduating class in 2008. A highly rated high school recruiting target, he chose Stanford after being recruited by head coach Jim Harbaugh. Andrew played for Coach Harbaugh and Coach David Shaw with the Stanford Cardinal football team from 2008 through 2011. After redshirting during his freshman year in 2008, he earned the starting quarterback job in 2009. In his first season, Luck led the Cardinal to victories over top 10 Oregon and USC teams and a berth in the 2009 Sun Bowl. In 2010, Andrew emerged as one of the top players in the nation. He led Stanford to a 12-1 record, a number 4 ranking in the final AP poll, and a victory in the Orange Bowl. He finished the 2010 season with 2 years of college eligibility remaining. He was eligible to declare for the 2011 NFL Draft, but announced in January that he would remain at Stanford to complete his degree. In December 2010, Sporting News projected Andrew as the number 1 selection in the 2011 NFL Draft had he entered. In 2011, he came back and led Stanford to a record of 11-2, a berth in the BCS Bowl, and a number 7 ranking in the final AP poll. He won the Maxwell Award and the Walter Camp Player of the Year Award, runner-up for the Heisman Trophy for the 2nd consecutive year. On June 17, 2012, Andrew graduated from Stanford with a bachelor's degree in architectural design, received the Al Masters Award, an honor given to an athlete each year for the highest standards of athletic performance, leadership, and academic achievement. Luck was drafted by the Indianapolis Colts on April 26, 2012 with the first overall draft pick. Since coming to Indianapolis, Luck has led the Colts to 3 straight playoff appearances and has played in 3 consecutive Pro Bowls. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Andrew Luck. They love you.
Cool.
Yep.
Good deal.
I'm not sure who they were cheering for.
You. Football team up here. It sounded like a eulogy that
Yeah.
you said up there. Jeez. And you brought up my 2 Heisman losses.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I've had a few of those. The program this evening, the first 30 minutes, we're going to have a conversation and try to go through Andrew's background and certainly you'll enjoy his thoughts on so many topics. And then the last 30 minutes, we'll have questions from DePauw students. So we'll ask them to come up to the different microphones, and then we'll call on you from there. But first, I want to start off. Andrew has an association with DePauw. A good friend of his who's a DePauw alum and former student athlete, Will King. So why don't you share a little bit about that?
Is that a frat thing? My high school buddy Will King actually played football here. We played football together at Stratford High School in Houston. So he's educated me on the finer points of DePauw's history, most importantly to get the Monon bell back on campus at some point. So it's fun for me to be here, it really is.
Well, let's start in your early years, growing up in Europe. That's different, and a lot of people don't know that. How about sharing that experience?
Yeah, so moved over there before I can remember. My father was working for NFL Europe, so sort of the international arm of the NFL, and we had a blast. My whole father's side of the family is German, so we lived in Germany for 3 years or so, moved to London for a couple years, and back to Germany. So I remember getting to go to my great-grandparents' home in Germany, that they survived World War II, World War I through, so to connect with that history of our family was, I think, really special looking back on it. And as a kid growing up overseas, you don't know any different. I thought every kid grew up, overseas and moved between London and Germany and had a dad who worked for the NFL in Europe, But I thought it was a great experience. I think, again, connecting with my family and their history in the past was really special. And being exposed to different cultures, I think, instilled a bit of that travel bug and maybe an appreciation for different things.
Did you start your athletic career or how old were you when you were there?
I was there from age 1 to 10 and always loved sports and didn't play professional football. Didn't play. I was getting paid very early to play. Didn't play organized football until we moved back to the States in 5th grade. But I loved sports, so played a lot of soccer and basketball. Baseball wasn't so big. They'd always look at us weird. Swimming, volleyball, so we were definitely active. But soccer, as we know, is the most popular sport in the world. So played a lot of that.
Well, when you came back to the States and your high school years, you were in Houston, and academics have clearly been a priority for you. And so take us back to your high school years from an academic standpoint and your interests and all.
Oh yeah, I had a blast in high school. It was a suburb of Houston, sort of West Houston, Stratford High School, home of Craig James, as well, the great running back, and loved school. It was a public school, great school. We were talking about this earlier. It's really funny, in Texas, they have football class in the middle of the day. So we were on an A-B block scheduling, and so you'd go to English on A days and math on B days, and sort of vice versa. But football was every day. It was priorities. Priorities. But I think I was very fortunate to have great teachers, and my parents stressed academics in the house. My siblings and I, it was always very important, and we weren't necessarily allowed to sacrifice academics for sports. It was you figure out how to do both and do it to the best of your abilities. And that certainly carried over through college and now not so much with school, but manifests its way in different ways. But great teachers, great professors. I've always thought school is challenging and fun and rewarding, and it's certainly something I miss now, not getting to go back to school and learn. And it's so fun for me to be on a college campus and feel that that energy, whatever it is, when you're just driving in, there's something, you feel something different, so it's a lot of fun.
When you were in high school, from an athletic standpoint, what did you play?
Well, obviously football was important to class every day, so played that all 4 years. I played high school basketball all 4 years, and probably had more fun playing high school basketball than anything else. I think maybe just because I knew there was no future in it, in a sense, I played it because I loved to play basketball, and so that was awesome. Played baseball for a year, ran track for 2 years, So I've always loved sports of all kind. So I tried to play as much as I could. And my dad was very much of the belief that it wasn't necessary to specialize or focus on one sport, early on and before high school. I mean, we played everything. My sisters and I were in a sport every season. And my parents, my father played professional football and quarterback. He backed Warren Moon up and Archie in Houston for 5 years, but he never forced me to play football. The only rule in our family was you had to, if you started a season with whatever sport, you had to finish that season. There was no quitting, halfway, and which I'm thankful for. One, to finish a season that you didn't want to be a part of. So many lessons, as you know, as a coach to learn from. And two, I think playing multiple sports helped me be a better quarterback. And I firmly believe that I think playing basketball and learning how to move and guard and take someone one-on-one and understand leverage and boxing out and jumping and track to run fast or try. wasn't very good. And even in college, we'd play intramural basketball, and the coaches did not know, and we did not tell them. and we played intramural soccer, and it's fun. It's a great way, I think, just to understand and maybe see space and angles and how space closes up or opens up, how balls can get through. I think there is a lot to help you as a quarterback.
Well, you talk about your father being an NFL quarterback and obviously been involved in athletics throughout his life, his adult life as well. Mm-hmm. But tell us about your mother and how she felt and still feels about your life as a quarterback, and not worrying about you getting hurt, but seeing her son in the national spotlight, and it's got to be a pretty proud moment for her as well.
Yeah, I think so. And she's always also the best. She keeps me grounded, that's for sure. And I know I'm going to get a straight answer, honest answer from my mother every time I talk to her about something, and it helps. It helps. It really does, because it's a sort of interesting. It's an interesting life if you're a bit in the public eye. It can be different. But she's awesome. She's a wreck during games, I've been told. She does not like watching, but I'm not sure many mothers like seeing their sons get planted in the ground. Right. No, but she's always been very supportive. I think her being married to a former NFL player and seeing him go through that, way back when has helped. Help her talk to me about certain things that go through, and I realize that not every player, not every 22-year-old can have a mom who understands maybe what's going on in that NFL-ish circle, and so that's been, I think, a huge blessing, and very thankful for that.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you finish high school, and you're one of the top high school quarterbacks in the country, and about the time you came along, this whole recruiting industry changed, where everybody's a 4-star, a 5-star, a 3-star, and all that. Tell us a little bit about the recruitment process and maybe how you ended up at Stanford.
Yeah, and it's an interesting process. And again, I feel so thankful to have had a dad who went through it and could sort of guide me, and I think, sort of drop hints with not overt, pushing towards certain things that he knew would be best, and sort of shielding me away from maybe things that could be harmful. And it's a weird process, right? Any of the athletes in here will say, you're 16, 15, 16, 17 years old, and there's pressure being put on you from these massive institutions like Alabama or Texas A&M, and you're 16 years old, and you're supposed to know what you want to do for ages 18 to 21. Right. That's tough. I feel for a lot of the kids that it's, here you go now, figure it out, with no help. But I tried to enjoy the recruiting process. I made it. Got to go to camps at Texas A&M and Northwestern and visit schools with friends and family. I remember going out for spring break with my dad to San Francisco Bay Area and going to Stanford and UC Berkeley and and sort of enjoying California. So it was fun for me to go on sort of vacation with my dad. I remember going to Stanford for the first time, and Coach Harbaugh had been hired the year. No, he had just been hired, really. Right. Actually, he had just been hired maybe a couple months before. We sat in an office that was completely bare with like workers, hammering stuff in. There was like 50 people in this office that was the size of maybe 8 feet by 8 feet. And sort of listen to Jim, so intense. I was like, oh gosh, look, this guy wants to win bad. And doing that, and so it was a fun process. It was an interesting process. I think also I've always sort of avoided the Facebook, Twitter, or at the time really it was Facebook, and maybe MySpace was the other big thing. But I avoided that, and I didn't, the blogs. It's such a maybe a thing that even kids going through it now have to deal with it way more. That maybe some older folks don't quite understand and can't help them navigate that because of the pressures of that can get to people. We've all seen it. So I think avoiding that was definitely a plus.
Yeah. Did coming out of high school, did you know what you wanted to study?
I knew I wanted to do some sort of either civil, structural engineering, or architecture. Okay. Yeah, I always enjoyed math. I always enjoyed, excuse me, projects as opposed to writing and the other things. So I knew it was going to be one of those two things. And my grandfather was a civil engineer as well.
So when you got to Stanford, and did you get into architecture right away, or did you kind of find your way as you went?
It took me about a year to sort of figure it out. I remember taking an art history, the history of architecture class that went all the way from the Stonehenge and the pyramids of Giza to Eero Saarinen's Columbus House in Columbus, Indiana. Sorry, and so I knew then, in the middle of that class, all right, this is interesting. This is what I want to do. We were talking with the football team earlier. I also loved playing with Legos when I was a kid and building things. I was like, all right, if I could do a major where you play with Legos like for 2 hours a day, I'm doing that. You kidding? Let's go. So it was pretty simple from then on.
Well, my background, for you to be an architectural major and play football at Stanford at that level, I want you to share a little bit about your time management, time commitment, because I can say this. I coached at Ball State for 11 years, and they have an outstanding, great architectural program. But in 11 years, I can think on one hand the number of guys that could stay in that program and still play Division I football. So for you to go to Stanford, that type of an elite school, and play football at the highest level, very, very impressive. Why don't you share a little bit about time commitment, time management, those kind of things?
Yeah, I think one thing to start, you don't ever do it by yourself. I mean, great professors, great coaching staff, great help from everyone, and understanding and resources. And I'm sure, as as a coach, as a player, it's a shame if you don't take, as a student, if you don't take advantage of the resources that are there, and because people want to help. So I always felt that overwhelmingly that people wanted to help you get to where you wanted to go at Stanford, which was awesome to go on. And then we talked earlier with the team again. I thought football helped me so much with my time management. I thought football helped me in school. I think if I didn't have football, I don't think I would have done as well in school or finished or managed my time better. I think it teaches you that time is valuable, and when you know you're going to have practice, or meetings starting at 2 and practice, so you have a block where between 2 and 8 p.m. you're not doing anything. And that's your day's done. So you figure out how to schedule things in before. You figure out, all right, I need to wake up consistently at this time if I want to get things done. You realize that you're going to have to sacrifice something. I always thought there's sort of 3 different silos. In school, if you play a sport, it was your sport, your studies, and your social life. And so during season, you had to sacrifice your social life. It was the nature of the business, and sacrifice maybe school a little bit. I wouldn't take the big project studio classes in architecture, the studio classes during season. That'd be foolish. I wouldn't sleep, and my performance on the field would suffer. So in the off season, with school, that priority, and social life priority, especially in California. In the spring and the sun's out, and it's fun. But that's when you take your studios, and so understanding how to sacrifice things. But again, I think football and playing a sport helped me so much in terms of time management, and then understanding that if you don't take advantage of the resources at hand, then you're doing yourself an injustice, and you have no right to complain.
Right.
You know.
Well, you're in front of college students, and just share a little bit of how important your college experience and what advice you would give our students, you know, as they, you know, some of them are seniors, some of them have 3 more years. And
yeah. I loved college. I really did. I miss it. I go back every year. My sisters, one just graduated, one's still at Stanford, so go back and hang out with them for a couple weeks every year. Just walking around campus, and I talked about that energy earlier. There really is. It's almost like you have 4 years to sort of experiment's the wrong word, but to grow, to do new things, to try new things, to make a mistake, and it's okay, and it might not be as bad consequences, you know, to put yourself out there, to figure out who you are in a sense. That sounds a little bit cheesy, but I think it's true. I really do. It's like a free pass. And so I thought, you know, being able to grow and take risks was a big part of college. I thought the relationships you build in college, I know I'm closest with the guys I played football with at Stanford are my closest friends, and just you build strong relationships. I think the beginning to play a sport, talking to the football guys earlier, I always felt so honored and proud to put a Stanford jersey on and represent the university on the football field. And now as an alum, you know, to watch a game, you're proud. It's fun. It really is. Great years. As far as advice, I'm only 25. I don't have any advice for you.
well, share. We may not know who those people are, but we all, as you go through college, you have mentors, you have influencers that really help you, direct you, get you to that next step. Who were some of those people at Stanford?
Yeah, one that comes to mind is the head of the architecture program, which is a very small program. Only 7 of us graduated that year. And I failed to mention my girlfriend was also an architecture major, so that's how I got through, really. Had to be honest.
Truth comes out, doesn't it?
Bright lights. What was the question? Mentors. The head of the architecture program, John Barton, a great guy, and helped you. If I had to miss an important class, he'd help me make it up. If I couldn't take a class in the fall, he'd let me do an independent study with him in the summer. That was, you know, that was as intensive, and made sure he wasn't cheapening me or himself or the program. So he was definitely a mentor in sort of the academic side. The head coach now, David Shaw, of Stanford, was the offensive coordinator while I was there my first 3 years, and then became the head coach. And he had also gone to Stanford and played football there. And I think he relates so well to all the kids and understands what some of the unique things. Every university has unique challenges, unique areas of it, and he totally understood and got those, and really encouraged all of us, to take it. He always says, wring it dry. You've got to wring your Stanford experience dry, or your college experience dry. Get all of it, get out of it all that you can, because there is a finite date, and end to it. Meet as many people as you can. There's a great network of Stanford alums out there that know you're a football player now, so take advantage of it. That's an open door. Just like I'm sure there's a great DePauw network, out there. At least better than Wabash. So.
Well, I think it's interesting you say that, because all of us here at DePauw feel the same way. I think I'll leave it at that. The other thing I think is really interesting is that you had a chance to come out, and there's millions of dollars waiting for you. You're probably going to be the #1 draft choice. A lot of people on the outside would think you're foolish to go back and play, risk injury, all that. Go through your thought process there and going back to school.
Yeah, it wasn't a hard decision at all. I think I just had it in my mind that I was going to be in school for 4 years, and I was going to go to college, be in school for 4 years, and be done. And whether it was football or anything else, that's the way it was. And that's unique to me. I don't think it's necessary to have a degree and be a professional athlete. I don't think it's necessary to have to go to college to be a professional athlete. And I understand the rules are what they are now, but personally, I just figured I loved college. I was not ready to leave. I didn't lose any sleep over the decision. I didn't worry about injury. I just don't think that would be appropriate.
Yeah.
Okay, you get injured. Okay, it's the real world. Go figure something out. So those thoughts didn't cross my mind at all. And I don't think I was ready to leave college. I don't think I was mature enough to handle living on my own and being a professional.
Right.
Football player. I think I would have really struggled, and I needed to get better at football. So there's so many reasons to stay and not many to go.
And looking into your background, now you're kind of known as a voracious reader, right?
I love reading. Yeah.
Tell us some books that you've read that have influenced your life, not maybe just for enjoyment, but things that have had a real impact.
I'll say the book I just finished was Endurance by Alfred Lansing. Maybe it's about Shackleton's voyage down to the Antarctic. The Endurance, the boat he's on, gets trapped in the ice floes, crushed, and he has to survive with his crew for I think a year or something. This is 1913, 1914. World War I just broke out, and he's on this voyage down to overland cross the Antarctic for whatever reason. And he survives, and every crew member survived with him. Right? An incredible fortitude and survival instincts, and how to, can you imagine a year in dark, no food, with 30 people, that rough sailors, and managing the egos and the personalities to survive, just so you don't kill each other. Fantastic read, and it's not too long. I really recommend it. Some of my favorite books growing up. Papillon, I'm not sure the author. It's about a prisoner in the sort of French penal system, mid-1900s, I believe, maybe early 1900s, and a man jailed innocent of his crime, and just escapes like 30 times, gets caught 30 times, and then finally escapes for good. So that was always a big one. And then The Power of One by Bryce Courtenay, about a South African boy and sort of the apartheid, historical fiction. Really, really good book.
That's great. Well, you may not realize this, but 3 years ago today, Ryan Grigson, the new general manager of the Colts, publicly said that you were going to be the #1 draft pick of the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah. Interesting.
So, take us through that process a little bit too. Like earlier, how crazy recruiting is. This NFL draft thing right now, if anybody's watching ESPN, it's all about the draft, and it's all about, and next week everybody's going to be. So go through your story with that.
I think the media machine that is the NFL is just massive, and it's huge, and you can't prepare for it. It's like an onslaught in the draft, everything. It's a weird time for a player. Your season just ends, and you're expected to be in a combine, in Indy in a month or so, or 6 weeks, and you got to train for that. But give yourself time off to just enjoy, your last college football season was supposed to be the best time of your life. So it's a weird dynamic, and I had a pretty good understanding that I was going to be the first overall pick. That's the feeling, the vibe, without the Colts necessarily explicitly telling me.
Right.
I felt like it was understood, and this was for a while, so
Yeah.
But it's weird when you don't want to publicly say anything that, I know I'm going to be the first pick, because then you look like an asshole.
Yeah, right. Well, the other thing that's interesting is you kept going to school.
Yeah.
You know, there's a culture out there now where guys take that semester off or that quarter off to get prepared for the draft, to do all the different things.
Well, correct you. I did take a quarter off.
Did you?
And then I went back to school after that to finish up.
Oh, okay.
But I did summer school before that year, so to set myself up to be able to take the winter off. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry to take that the wrong direction if you were going somewhere.
Well, in another life I lived, I had guys who would take a semester off to get ready for the draft, and I'd say to them, you couldn't play for us. What makes you think you're going to play in the NFL? But I don't think you fell in that category.
Moving on.
Okay, but this is a question you've had to been asked a lot over the last 3 years. And I'll say this up front, nobody could have done it better, has done it better than what you had to do. You're the number one pick, but you're coming in and replacing Peyton Manning. Yeah. And obviously, you know, everybody knows, and you know, you grew up knowing him, and your dad played with Archie. But that, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And the way you've handled it.
It's not that bad.
Well, yeah, come payday, it's not that bad, but everything. But the other part's hard, and honestly, you've done an amazing job. But kind of share with us your thoughts on that.
Yeah, you know, I think, one, having a father who worked in the sports business world growing up, I think you understand, you know, maybe it was ingrained in me that professional sports is a business, and people come and go, and that's just the ugly truth of it. It's, you know, like Reggie Wayne this year, it stinks, but it's the truth. It's just, it happens. It's a business. Eventually, someone's going to replace me. Hopefully it's later rather than sooner, but you don't know. Right. You know, we can't tell the future. So I took the view as this, right? I'm not going to worry about replacing Peyton Manning. No one can. He's one of the best ever, if not the best. If I woke up every morning saying, all right, I'm going to fill Peyton's shoes today, I'd go crazy. I don't, you know, you can't. Mm-hmm. And I don't think, you know, for myself, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go. I'm not going to worry about what Peyton did before or didn't do. I'm just going to do the best I can. And it was actually a lot easier than you think. I think the locker room was so supportive. Not once did I have an older player say, no, you got to do it this way because Peyton did it, or you got to do it, or something along the lines of that. I remember walking in the first day, Dwight Freeney said, hey, young one, come to my office. I was like, okay, where's your office? That's my locker. You know? All right, so I walk over to his locker. This is Dwight Freeney, the most fearsome pass rusher arguably ever, you know, in the NFL. He says, look, we're all behind you. You do it your way. We're going to go win football games, and that's it. Don't worry about anything else. You know, and I was like, that was awesome to hear as my first day in the locker room with him, and put all those fears and doubts aside. And of course, you have angst and doubt and fear anytime you start something new. But he squashed all those, who am I following, you know, in a sense, aside. So that made it a lot easier. And again, it's just, and the other thing too, I should say, you know, you don't, you know, it's not taboo to talk about Peyton in the locker room. The Colts have been successful for a long time, and for reasons. So I asked Reggie, so how do you guys do this? Why were you so good at this play? How did you guys handle doing red zone during the week? You know, and learn, because there's so much to learn from how he does things as well, because he's the ultimate preparer. He prepares better than anybody in the NFL. And I was always a fan of Peyton growing up, and it was great. And he's been so kind and gracious to me and classy and helping out when I first moved to Indy, and see him every now and then. So, but big fan of him, still am.
That's great. Last question before we open it up to the students. I don't think people have any idea of the time commitment that goes into being an NFL quarterback. And everybody sees the 3 hours on Sunday or on Monday night or whatever it is. Just kind of share with them your work week in season.
In season work week, yeah. So let's say we just played a game Sunday at 1, sort of the average game. Usually get back, eat a meal with my family, drink a couple beers with the guys on the team, you know, hopefully enjoy a win or, you know, a loss if that happens. Monday, wake up, sleep in a little bit, get to wake up around 8 or 9, go into the facility, get a lift in. I'm a big believer, and you got to move your limbs after a game and lift. And then we'll we'll watch the film of the previous game, so put that to bed, and then maybe get started on the next opponent. So leave the facility probably around 5 or 6, and then Monday is sort of my night off in a sense, and go on a date with my girlfriend, do something, watch a movie, something relaxing. Get to sleep in Tuesday and enjoy Tuesday morning, sort of eat lunch at home, just, clean, vacuum, sort of the mundane, those mundane chores that I think do more good for your brain than you realize, and just like relaxing. And then a lot of massage on Tuesday, go into the facility in the afternoon, and sort of work a little more, just catch in with the coaches, see where they are in the game plan, get back, eat dinner at home Tuesday, and then really start grinding on the opponent. Talk to Pep, our coordinator, on the phone or through email. So he'll send some stuff over. Then wake up at 6 on Tuesday. On Wednesday, go in, stay in, full work day, practice meetings, all that good stuff till about 6:30. Do it again the next day, 6:30. Next day is probably again about 6 to 4 or 5. Then Friday night's sort of off, but you're a little high strung because it gets close to the game, and I don't like leaving the house. I sort of sit in and don't do much. Then Saturday, wake up, we got a walkthrough in the morning, some meetings, and then around noon we're leaving our facility. We're either flying to wherever or get to go home and watch Stanford play or some college football games, and then Hasselbeck and I, or whoever the quarterbacks are on the team, will go out to dinner Saturday night somewhere. Low-key, go to the hotel. We've got meetings around 7:30 to 9:30, eat a little snack, go to bed, wake up, breakfast, drive over to the stadium. It's funny because we drive to the stadium in the NFL, like in our own cars, and so you listen to local radio, people are hawking tickets, scalping tickets on the side, and it's really awkward if you get noticed. You're like, oh no. Don't come up to the car, please don't don't knock on the window. And then park, walk in, do our thing, get pumped up, play the game, do it all again.
Do you have one ritual that you go through on game day?
Yeah, I think habits, a lot of habits, and I'm a big believer in routine and being able to turn your brain. Don't let your brain think about what you have to do there. Let it focus on what you want to do. So, yeah, timing of everything is well-oiled machine. When I get the sort of RMO by our trainer, the music you listen to, probably the same playlist I've listened to since high school maybe. So there's the habits, the rituals, I do think are a big part of athletics and sports. Mm-hmm. I was reading, I think, about this somewhere recently, that it does allow your mind to not think about those things and focus on sort of what the true task at hand.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to open this thing up to students to come down and ask some questions. We got a microphone over here.
There you go.
And we got a microphone there. So, didn't have a problem with that.
Are you seriously going to film this?
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll start right here.
All right. I'm Sarah Proctor. I'm a manager on our football team. Cool. And I was just kind of wondering what the players' interaction with the general staff of the team is. Do you interact very often, and how is that interaction with them, and how does it affect the team as a whole?
Yeah, no, I think it depends on the role of the staff. Coaches will say different,
Yeah.
Training room, we're with those guys all the time, off season, in season. Our physical therapists, they know our bodies better than we do. You have to trust them. They have to trust you. Great list. Equipment managers they probably know as much as the coaches. They run our drills. They're phenomenal people. They are as loyal as you could ever wish to have in a friend. Great people. And as quarterbacks, equipment managers are our best friends because they take care of everything for us. The balls, they snap to us in drills, they catch. Big. And then there's the chef, the kitchen staff we're very close to. And then as far as sort of the business side of the operation, not so much. It's maybe a little bit different side of the building, and they've sort of their jobs and we've got our jobs. So that's sort of the interaction there.
right, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hi, my name is Avery Nash, tight end from Gary, Indiana. Just wanted to ask you, do you have a favorite quote? And if so, why do you consider that to be your favorite quote?
Oh, favorite quote. That's a good question. I don't know if it's a favorite quote. This is a quote I've been remembering recently because it came out of this book on Shackleton, and I'm going to butcher it. I'm going to try. It's something, this is someone commenting on all these explorers of the past. You know, if you want speed and efficiency, give me Amundsen, who was a Norwegian guy. If you want research and science, give me Scott. But if all hell's breaking loose, get down on your knees, man, and pray for Shackleton. You know, I thought that's so awesome. And I was like, man, if you could be remembered, you know, if you could be remembered, like, get on your knees and pray for, you know, that'd be so cool. So, that quote.
Great. Over here.
Hi, my name's Courtney Graham, and I was, hi. I was wondering if I may please get a picture with you after the conclusion of tonight.
That's the question? We'll try.
Okay, thank you.
I can't promise anything, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Celia Kauth. I'm the varsity captain of our track and field team, and next week we're going into our biggest meet of the season. I was wondering if you had any advice as far as motivating your teammates going into a big battle.
Yeah, big battle. Yeah, I think I've always believed that every game is equally as important, and you prepare as hard as you can for each game. You know, obviously, there's certain games that your juices are going to get flowing more, that there's an excitement, that there's a buzz around, and I think that can be a scary time because you can lose fundamentals, you can lose technique, you can get too ahead of yourself, too emotional. Whatever it is, you stop doing things that you practice and train to do for other games, or other meets or other competitions, whatever it is. So I just remember say, trust what you've been doing all year, what has made you successful. And I think that's sort of, and Coach, you probably have a history with that. I don't know if you disagree with me at all.
No, I'm totally with you, absolutely.
But you know, for the biggest games of the year, I think it's even that much more important to say, no, just trust techniques, fundamentals, the things that have got me to this point.
Thank you.
Welcome. Nice
Hello,
jersey, dude.
my name is Trent Bielitz, and I'm from Houston, just like you.
Respect.
And I wanted to know, what do you do once things get really tough?
Ooh, what do I do when things get really tough? That's a good, in games, out of games?
Anytime.
Anytime. Yeah. Help me out, man. So in games, if it's tough in games, I look around and look at T.Y. Hilton. Say, man, that's a good football player. We're going to be all right. I look at our offensive line. I see Anthony Costanzo. Say, man, we got some good football players. You know, we'll be okay. Look at Coach Pagano. Say, man, that guy, you know, that's a head coach you want to play for. We're going to be all right. And I think that's part of the reason why, you know, we've been able to come back in games sometimes is because we keep the faith. And Coach Pagano, one of his big things is, hey, don't look at the scoreboard during the game. You should play as hard as you can on every play. Obviously, as a quarterback, you need to know the situation. You need to know the play clock, things of that nature. But the point of play as hard as you can every play, I think that helps get us through tough times as in football games. As far as tough times in life, I love going on walks. I think I do. I can think through things when I'm walking around Indianapolis or something, or getting outside. I think that's always helped me. And if it's tough and I'm having trouble falling asleep, I'll try to read for 10 minutes before I go to bed and get my mind off of whatever it is so I can sleep well. So, good question.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, JT Williams, tight end on the football team. Lives in Indiana. I was just wondering, you mentioned a high school playlist that you've been listening to for a while. I was wondering what kind of songs might be on that playlist.
What songs are on that playlist? It's a little bit of everything. Like U2, The Killers, some Houston rap, like you guys wouldn't know who they are. Some sort of new age rock, alternative rock, all sort of the whole spectrum. Little John and the East Side Boys, I think is on there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Keely McGrath. I play volleyball here.
Cool.
I recently read an article about kind of your sportsmanship, and when you get hit really hard or whatever, you'll usually tell the person who hit you, like, great hit. Kind of wondering, like, where that came from, if you've always done that, or...
Yeah. It's funny, the football guys asked that earlier, and I think it's just something I've always done. I don't ever remember saying, all right, I'm going to do this, you know, on the football field when a guy hits me, and I'm not quite sure why I do it. But you'd be surprised at the interaction between players on the field in the NFL. It is somewhat of a big fraternity. A lot of guys you play college with, a lot of guys you've been on other NFL teams with or high school. So, I mean, there are some hilarious conversations when you go up there sometimes, and it's like, you know, people are lining up across from each other, and you hear this conversation about their kids or something. You know, oh, you know, how's your Aunt Margaret doing? You know, played a football game. We're supposed to hate you. So there's great interaction between players.
Thank you.
Hi, Andrew. My name's Nate Smith. I'm a physics and math major here at DePauw.
Cool.
And that was my exact question, so I'm switching to question 2. So you're widely regarded as an excellent student athlete, and I was just wondering, eventually, do you think you'll head back into architectural engineering, or do you think you'll use your college education at some point after the football life ends?
Yeah, no, I think you use your college education every day. Yeah, you know, and everything you do, and not just, you know, everything you learn in college. But yeah, I could see myself going back to school for architecture. I think I'd have to do a couple years of internship in grad school to become and take a test to become licensed. But I could see myself going back to school. But you know, I don't know. I understand that day is going to come at some point. Hopefully, again, rather later rather than sooner, where I can't play football anymore. But I haven't given it too much thought yet.
Don't need to think about that yet.
Hopefully
Thank you.
not, yeah.
Hi, Mr. Luck. My name is David Kobe. Me and my family really bleed blue. My dad's been a season ticket holder since 1985.
Sweet.
I was just wondering if you could speak on your relationship with Kobe Fleener, how you guys have like grown together through college, and then also kind of you know, by chance in the pro game.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting and unique and special to get to play this many years with the guy through college and then the NFL. And Flea's a phenomenal athlete. He was a year older than me in college, so you know, you're definitely scared of him when you come in as a freshman, but then you meet him and you get to know him for a couple weeks, and you're like, okay, he is the nicest guy, or he's not scary at all. Other guys are scary, not him. But it's been a lot of fun to go through this whole thing with him, and you know, sit back and talk about Stanford or old games or the Colts. It's unique, it really is. And also, there's another Stanford guy, Griff Whalen, on the team, a wide receiver, who was actually, we roomed together for 3 years at Stanford, so I'm actually probably closer to him. And so for us to be in Indianapolis together as well is, again, special. And so for 3 of us, and there's actually a 4th on the team last year, Delano Howell, who had neck issues, so he couldn't finish the season. And Pep, our offensive coordinator, was at Stanford with us. So we had a little Stanford crew, and people got really annoyed at us.
Thank you.
Fine. You're welcome.
Hello, Nick Horvath. I'm a sophomore baseball player. Hopefully some other people know about this, but I'd like to ask you, how's the play Green Right Slot Spider 2 Y Banana influenced you?
Green Right Slot, yeah. That's the John Gruden quarterback thing. Don't throw the backside Venus. You got to throw the flat, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's a good play. We still run it. We'll score touchdowns on it still. We get mileage out of it. It's a little power pass, but too many people know about that play.
All righty, thank you.
Hello, Mr. Luck. My name's Polo. I'm an athlete here at DePauw, and I just wanted to ask you what's one of the biggest obstacles you've overcome during your career as an athlete? And another question is, what's it like getting hit by like a big guy, like a defensive
a big guy?
Big, I mean, yeah.
Like a big guy. Obstacles as an athlete. I think injuries are always an obstacle. I broke my finger my first year's playing at Stanford against Notre Dame, where your president went to school. So that was a bummer. I had to miss the bowl game that year, and it's not fun. You know, you feel like you're letting people down. I think think in the NFL, one of the obstacles is just keeping your head on straight and keeping your eyes on the prize in a sense. And the media machine is so big, and you do live in somewhat of a fishbowl that I think you could easily get astray in a sense. And so making sure you have good people that, that'll give you honest opinions when you need them and keep you in check. And I think that's so important. So those are big obstacles. As far as getting hit by big men, it doesn't feel good. But it's part of football, I guess. Yeah.
Mr. Luck, Bob Dylan. I'm a senior here.
Bob Dylan.
First off, couldn't be more excited for the upcoming season. Good luck. Go
Thank you. Appreciate it.
My question is, how hard is it parting ways with guys like Reggie Wayne, and with him leaving? Do you feel any added pressure to kind of be the team leader?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's like the business of the NFL. The business of professional sports is not fun sometimes. There's guys that you love, you play with, you respect, that teach you things, that you view as mentors, that you've shared experiences with that you haven't shared with anybody else, games, practices, so it's tough. But you got to reconcile that in your mind, that's part of professional sports. People come, people go, and you'll be a part of it someday, in a sense. And as far as added pressure with him gone, yeah, in a sense, and I also think it marries up with I'm going into my 4th year as a quarterback on the team, so that I feel like I should continue to grow as a leader and take more of a role in that sense. And he's done such a great job of being that rock, that sort of offensive rock for so many years here, and learned a lot from him, about how to approach leadership. So, but yeah, it'll be a fun, interesting, challenging next step in that sense.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, my name's Sheila. I'm a junior here, and there's been a trend of enrollment in youth football leagues declining and players retiring early due to fear of concussion and long-term brain injury. And I was just wondering what your thoughts were on that, how you think the game is going to evolve, and what you think the appropriate response to those fears are.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that it's tough. It's a tough question to answer for me as well. I know from my personal experience as a player, I've not worried about concussions. I also understand that it is a risk when you go out there and play a game, and I also prepare for games to help avoid concussions with exercises, things of that nature, making sure I'm wearing equipment that is up to date and proper. I think I wore the same style of helmet for like a couple years of high school, all through college, and maybe my first year in the NFL. And I was sitting there one day, I was like, why am I wearing the same iteration of helmet, for the past eight years, the same one? Technology has advanced a lot in that 8 years. I should be wearing the better version of something, and so I do. I wear a better helmet now, and each year I'll make sure to wear the best helmet for my head that I think will protect it, that's rated the best by whoever the trusted folks are. As far as youth football, I think that coaching is so important at that age of how to properly tackle and how to respect your head. And the thing I learned first putting a helmet on was that it's not a weapon now. That's just to protect your head. That's not an object for you to throw into someone, with head down like that. And I haven't hit anybody in a long time. I play quarterback, but that's a fundamental rule of, I think, football, right? To protect your head. But it's tough. It'll be interesting to see, where that goes. And I think there's a lot of data maybe out there on heads and injuries, but no one is really quite sure what it all means yet, I think. And that's sort of my thought, and I'm curious to see, and I hope that as technology has progressed, that head protection, head injury, that we become more educated on it, and that technology progresses as fast in that area as other areas. But personally, I have not worried about it, and yeah. Good
Thank
question.
you.
You're
Go
welcome.
Colts.
Yeah, go Colts.
Hey, Mr. Luck. My name is David Linton. I'm a freshman sprinter on our track and field team, and I really do want to go professional after I graduate here. So my question is very similar to Poe's. I've had my fair share of injuries this season, so I've only been able to run twice, which honestly weren't that good, to be honest. So how do you like deal with that, psychological thing, that the mental aspect of, trying to get back to proper shape, whether it's in your off season or like training camp and whatnot, and going forward to your season?
I think one, small victories are great. It's small wins. Celebrate small wins. That's awesome. If you can just keep progressing, that's great. I know that rehab, getting back into shape, is a long process sometimes. You go a whole season with a groin tightness and football, and you need to play, but your groin's never gonna heal 100%. So you try to get it good enough to play, and then when the off season comes around, you realize that that's been hurt for a while. So it's going to take a while for it to get better, and you can't get frustrated after 10 days if it's not perfect, that you've got to keep building a base and keep rolling. And I think injuries as a whole are a negative thing. No one ever wants it to happen, but positive experiences can come out of it, and it's, I think, how you respond to being injured. It's like respond to adversity, like we talk about our tough times, is key and can make you a better athlete in the long run and make you stronger, make you tougher, make you maybe have a little more ounce of grit to get through something if you know that you've gone down with this or that, but come back stronger each time. I think that can have a positive influence on being an athlete.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, my name is AJ Rose. Just a question for you real quick. Since you've been with the franchise your first year, the team's always made a step each year. Your first year you get to the playoffs, second year you get that playoff win, third year you get the AFC Championship. This season, you lose Reggie, but then you add guys like Andre Johnson, Frank Gore. Just wanted to ask you, how close do you think this team is to finally getting to the Super Bowl and getting past that team up there in New England?
That team?
Yeah, that team. We don't say their name here.
Hopefully we take 2 steps this year, get to the Super Bowl and win it. So, come on in 2 years. But I think it's a realistic goal for us to get to the Super Bowl and win it. I think we have a team full of great football players. But every team in the NFL has a team full of great football players, and everybody wants to win a Super Bowl. At any age, hope springs eternal in the off season. You get to go again and get at it. But I think if you put the work in, and then if you take advantage of your time with your teammates, then maybe you start having the right to really think about it and go. But you also got to realize that it's such a week-by-week thing in the NFL and day by day. And right now our focus, and this is cheesy and corny, but I think it's the only way to truly get better is, all right, we got work on Monday. Next Monday we can come in again. It's one of the 28 days sanctioned by the NFL that we can work, and we can't waste that day. We need to make that day the best we can. And that's the attitude Coach Pagano brings. I think that's the attitude all the players take. Is worry about where your feet are. Coach Pagano always talks about get your mind where your feet are. Don't let it be anywhere else. And I think guys take it to heart, and we'll see. We go from there.
All right, thank you.
Hi there, Andrew
Hello.
Luck. I love you, for one thing. What's your mindset and your role when your team is behind?
Mindset and role when team is behind. Mindset. Got to be aware of the clock. It's technical, but you have to know you have to understand the situation. If you're down by a lot, you got to understand that there's no such thing as a 26-point touchdown. It's your job to go score points. And then you got to understand when touchdowns are more important when touchdowns are necessary and field goals won't cut it. So understanding the situation, I think, is big. And for me, it's just playing hard, fighting. And we talked earlier about Coach Pagano. His message is play hard. It doesn't matter what the score on the scoreboard is. And when I watch Robert Mathis play, that's what I see. I don't know if you guys watch Robert when he's on defense, and it was such a bummer not to have him last year. But I remember my rookie year watching Robert Mathis play. It's like, man, that guy goes as hard as he can on the first play, the last play of the half, first play, every play in between. I mean, that guy just plays hard. So again, I think Coach Pagano talks about it. We practice it, so guys take it to heart. So when it comes game time, it's hey, just we've obviously done something wrong to get behind, you know, let's clean those mistakes up and let's just chip away and see what happens, you know? Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll take 3 more questions. So, sorry about that.
Oh, this guy's stoked.
Yes. I was going to ask for your autograph for my 3- and 1-year-old half brothers, but apparently someone's not letting that happen.
Is there a question in there?
There's a 2-part question. We'll just skip over it, I guess. But maybe later. This one's pretty simple compared to the rest of them. Who's the best defensive player in the NFL?
Ooh, best defensive player in the NFL. Not on the Colts, right? Because we have
Of course
11
not.
of the best defensive players, at least.
I mean, behind the Bears, yeah. I'm kidding. I think you're a great player, but I'm a Bears fan, so.
Next question. No.
Touche.
I got you. J.J. Watt is a
it
phenomenal
JJ?
football player. Very, very good.
Thank you.
You can't clap for a Texan.
Hi, Mr. Luck. My name's Mark Wells.
I'm no mister. Keep people calling Mr. I'm 25.
First off, as a Colts fan, I just want to thank you so much for coming here. It means a lot to us. And I would rather have you as our quarterback than anyone else in the entire world. And I appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
My question is if you could give us in perfect cadence a let it roll, let it roll, let it roll.
You want a cadence?
I want a cadence, let it roll.
You want to let it roll?
I want to let it roll.
Okay. All right. So go with that. Let it roll, let it roll, let it roll. Blue 80. But hot.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Madison Dudley. I'm a first year. I'm really nervous. I'm sorry. I was wondering, you were on an episode of Parks and Recreation.
Yeah.
How awesome was that?
It was 2 episodes.
2 episodes? Well, how awesome was that? And what other cool things have you been able to do because of your job?
Yeah, that was totally awesome. Because we watched Parks and Rec in college, like religiously on Thursday nights. My roommates did, and so I started watching and thinking it's hilarious. And then when I moved to Indiana, I was like, where's Pawnee? What part of the state is Pawnee in? Then I realized it was fictional. So when they asked us, I think it was through the Colts, they said, hey, we're coming to film a bachelor party, maybe? It was, yeah. Bachelor party, and they wanted Reggie and I to be a part of it. I was like, absolutely. I was like, Reggie, you got to do it, man. Come on. And then, so that was cool, getting to meet the cast. They're cool people, and what a weird world they live in, you know, as Hollywood actors. Like, I thought our world was weird, but that's a, and then we got to do it again, and Robert and Costanzo and Vinny, everybody came out, and Mr. Ursay came out, and there's sort of a big kids camp theme episode. So that was cool. And then cool things, what other cool things have I done? Talked at DePauw University.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, but this will be our last question.
Andrew, I just wanted to get
it's
your...
a long walk back.
I just wanted to get your thoughts on leadership and your leadership style and how you were able to come in as a rookie and be an effective leader in the locker room.
That is a really good last question. So thoughts on leadership style. Oh, that's a very good question. I think as a quarterback, there's an inherent role of leadership. By the simple virtue of you call a play and tell people what to do, right? You give orders in a sense. So I think you assume some responsibility of leadership right off the bat, right? I think for leadership to be effective, it has to be within your own personality. And I think you'll be exposed as a fraud or a phony if it's not, and it won't come off as genuine as you'd like, in a sense. I think a big part of leadership is being competent at what you're doing and being good at it. You can have great teammates, and it takes nothing away from it, but it's hard to be in a true leadership role if you're not good at what you're doing on the field and in your performance. So I think that's a big part of it, competence. I think for me as a rookie, I tried to keep my mouth shut and my eyes and ears open and understand my role as much as possible. And so you definitely evolve and change as a person, not just as a football player, but as a person. Your personality changes a little bit. So the more responsibility you get, and each year I think you try to assume more and more of a role as a leader. Maybe you get a little more vocal. Maybe you make your opinion expressed more. You feel like it needs to be heard. Whereas maybe as a rookie, you're going to keep your mouth shut on certain things and sort of pick your battles, per se. I think understanding the people around you is so important. I think you hear a lot about leadership training or leadership symposiums. You go to a 3-day lecture series on leadership. I'm not quite sure how much you can learn from a lecture on leadership, but I do think what you can learn from reading or things is how people respond to situations, how people come together, disorganize, whatever it is, how adversity affects people, and how a strong leader or a bad leader can affect a group of people. So I think that's where you can really learn a lot, per se. I think sort of leadership training is an overused cliche thing. But I know also too, I get somewhat of a sick enjoyment out of getting to yell at people. Like, it's fun for me. As you know, so it's fun.
Thank you.
Well, I think we all came tonight as big fans of Andrew Luck, and because of you coming, I think everybody's left bigger fans of Andrew Luck. So thanks so much.
Thank you all. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
First of all,
oh, great. Very nice.
thank you very much. Great job.
It was fun. Thank you, guys. All right. Which way are we out of here? Through the